What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and I was so excited for the start of the new season. I was getting really hyped for it, and then it gets ruined 14 minutes into it. And here's the thing. Halfway through this game, I'm sitting here thinking about, okay, how am I going to start this video? How am I going to start it off? I normally try to create some sort of decent opening, just to kind of open up a video before I actually review what happened. And so I'm thinking about it, like, I'm probably going to go kind of that sarcastic, like, oh, it's hard to play against 12 men, oh, Burnley plus the referee, that really sucks. But I normally save those type of openings for when, yeah, the referee is bad, but we could have done better. We could have done more. And halfway through the game, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yes, the referee's been terrible. Yes, he is partially to blame. Red card not deserved. But then the second half, to come and fight back and to manage to get 2 goals back and to just pretty much back in the game, even with 9 men on the field, and the referee still finds a way to muck it up. I mean, at that point, it's no longer like sarcastic frustration, like, the ref was terrible today, let's laugh about how bad he is. I'm furious. Because this is the Premier League. This isn't like the MLS. I watch the MLS almost every week. I watch Atlanta United. I watch bad referees game after game calling stupid dives that should never be a foul in a million years. I see them making stupid decisions. I see that all the time. This is the English Premier League. This is one of the best leagues in the world, if not the best. It's definitely the most entertaining because anybody can win on any given day. So the fact that we have a referee so one-sided, so against one team, is embarrassing. And honestly, obviously all Chelsea fans are going to look at this and say, the referee is terrible. We're all going to look at it and see that. And obviously people that are not Chelsea fans are going to look at this and say, oh look, Chelsea bottling their title defense again. The referee association is going to defend their referee because they never want to admit that the referee is the one at fault. But even if a neutral watched this game, somebody who's not a hater of Chelsea, somebody who's not a supporter of Burnley, somebody who's just neutral, one of the supporters of the mid-table sides, they would probably look at this game and say, yeah, the referee was terrible today, one way. Because I can just think of so many instances where I'm just like, how is that a foul? How is that not a foul? How are they still wasting time and no yellow card issued to Tom Heaton, even though he wasted at least 7 minutes throughout the game? Nothing. Right after we get our second goal, right after we're right back in the game, the very next thing, they drop the ball back, kick it down the field, Vokes goes into the back of David Luiz, falls over. As he's falling over, Rudiger has put his hand out to sort of, be there. That's what defenders do. And because he touched him on the way down, it's a foul right outside the box. Rudiger gets a yellow. How? How? Watch the damn replay. There's no way in hell any other referee would have called that a foul on Rudiger and a yellow card. But because Craig Pawson, for whatever reason, maybe one of the Chelsea players ran over his dog this morning, I don't know, but for whatever reason he had to stick up his butt about Chelsea, and just everything they did was either a foul or a yellow. And I can't think of any calls he made where I'm just like, oh, we got lucky that he called that for us. Like, most of the time if you see a bad red, if you see something where it's like, oh, that was pretty harsh, most of the time you'll see a makeup call. When Alonso gets shoved in the back, he may have gone down a little bit too soft, but it's still a shove in the back. Most of the time you'll see referees say, okay, you know what, let's even it out a little bit, I'll give you the penalty there. But no, he never made any call for us that I thought was generous. All the calls we got were ones that were obvious. Okay, that's obviously a foul. Okay, that's obviously a yellow card. He went in and just completely took out our player. So, I could complain about him, honestly, for 30 minutes. But obviously, this is a review of not just the referees. This is a review of the whole game. So, I'm going to move on from the referees. I will just talk about the 2 reds really fast, in my opinion. Cahill's red, never a red. Alonso had gotten a yellow moments earlier for kind of a similar challenge, foot over the ball, but not really dangerous. It's like he's stretching for it, and he kind of catches him, but not really. And Alonso got a yellow for it. Cahill, similar thing, except he doesn't even really catch the guy. He catches him with his back foot that's not studs up. And because the guy's rolling around holding his ankle, oh, yeah, straight red. He didn't think about it. He didn't question anything. He didn't ask his assistant. He just went straight to his pocket for the red. So the fact that he didn't think about it at all just shows no thought. He saw the guy holding his ankle. He saw the fact that the studs were up, and instantly he's like, okay, it's going to be a red no matter what. And so, in my opinion, whenever a referee is that dead set and has that type of mindset, clearly he's not making a good decision. The referees that actually think about it, they're like, all right, let's communicate. Did you see it? Did you see it? Those referees are the ones that I can respect whenever they give a red because they've actually asked somebody. This guy was just like, I'm giving you a red. And then the other red for Fabregas, his challenge, worthy of a yellow. The yellow in the first half, he clapped sarcastically. I see players throw their arms, I see players clap sarcastically all the time, but because this came right after he gave us a red card, he's instantly like, okay, the emotions are completely against Chelsea right now. You're clapping at me, here's your yellow. And it just felt like everything we did after that. Every challenge, it was, oh, borderline yellow, oh, I'm talking to you, oh, yellow, yellow. It just felt like he was card happy at that point. And so later on in the second half, Fabregas is a little bit late. Probably shouldn't be going into that challenge on a yellow already, but the first yellow wasn't deserved. So both red cards, in my opinion, were very harsh. I think Craig Pawson should be questioned. There should be some sort of inquisition onto the red cards. Pretty much any red card, the FA should look at it and say, all right, was this deserved, was this not? And I think any referee that gives a red that's not deserved should be fined or at least banned for a game. But whatever, on to our team, because that's more what this review should be about. First of all, the lineup, kind of what I was expecting. You got Courtois and goal, obviously. With Moses out, Azpilicueta goes out to the right, which means Rudiger gets his first start in the back three. Alonso on the left. You've got Conte and Fabregas, because those are our only two options right now, which still kind of frustrating for me from a fan standpoint that we do not have any other options, that we sold one option, Chalobah, to Watford for so little money. On top of that, we loaned out Pasalic, we loaned out Baker. We have nobody in there anymore. We have Fabregas and Conte. Bakayoko's still hurt. Now Fabregas is suspended. Who knows what we're going to have next game? Unless they decide to put Christensen in there, I don't know. But it's those two are the starting two right now, so of course they start. What I did like to see, I like the fact that Batman got a chance up top. Willian, obviously, with Pedro and Hazard both out, he's going to play. But I like the fact that he went with Boga, because it shows that he's willing to give some of these youngsters that pretty much showed out in the preseason, like Boga, like Musonda, he's willing to give them a chance. And so I do like that. And I hate it for Boga that we got the red card so early, because unfortunately that means somebody had to be sacrificed, and it turned out to be him. And I hated that for him, because I wanted to see him get a chance to play, and actually do something against a Premier League side. So, as far as individual performances go, well, before I get into individual performances, I do want to talk about a couple of the decisions that Conte made. The first one, I honestly really disagree with. The first one, to take off Boga and put on Christensen, maintain your back five, but now sort of go with Batshuayi kind of up top and then Willian sort of playing in behind him almost. I really disagreed with that decision, and it showed. Why not stick with the back four? Because honestly, the main reason they got that first goal was because we had nothing going for us up top. Willian was doing everything he could. Batshuayi wasn't making enough runs. We didn't have any outlets, and so it was just constant pressure from Burnley until eventually it turned into a goal. And then after that, still constant pressure. They were flying at that point, and our defense was doing everything they could, and then they give up the second, and then the third one just lapse of concentration. So I really disagreed with the decision to maintain your back five and take away something up top, when realistically we had a lot of the possession, we had most of the ball, and we're just still shutting them down. I thought, why not just maintain your back four and just keep possession? Obviously we'll lack a little bit something back there, but just drop your fullbacks in a little bit more and keep everything going forward, so that way they don't have the ball. And then the decision to bring on Morata, good decision, paid off on top of it. Honestly, I was thinking at halftime probably bring him on, but he did wait a little bit, gave Batshuayi a chance to do something second half, didn't do anything, so Morata went in. and showed out. And then the fact that he gave Musonda a chance, I thought was also a good decision. He brought off Christensen, so gave us a bit more attacking flair up top, trying to go all out to get that equalizer. Yeah, I agreed with those two decisions. It was just that first one to sort of maintain your defensive shape instead of let's leave something up top so that way we have an outlet up there. That was the only one I didn't really agree with. But aside from that, you look at the individual performances. Courtois played pretty well today. Had to make a few good saves, but the first goal I do kind of attribute to him. I really thought he was slow getting across. He should have done a lot better. It wasn't, obviously it was kind of an awkward shot. It was one where he mishits it, and so Courtois is expecting it to come straight to him, but then he mishits it and is going towards his right post. But you still want to see him move his feet and get across because it wasn't well struck. It was just kind of dribbling in. And you like to see him move his feet to get there instead of planting, and now he's trying to push off of a planted leg to get there. Most of the time you're not going to. The other two, there wasn't much he could do. I mean, the second goal was a well-struck hit, and then the third goal was just nobody's marking him. Free header at the back post. There's not much you could do there. But I do say probably should have done better on the first goal. But aside from that, he did play pretty well. Defensively, honestly, even though we gave up 3 goals, our defense still played pretty well. It's really weird for me to say that, we gave up 3 goals, but we still played well defensively. Obviously, the third goal was just completely lack of concentration. Nobody's marking. But the first 2 goals, I mean, the first one, yes, Vokes was in a bit of space, but the fact that he mishit it perfectly to find the corner, it was kind of a bit of luck. And then the second goal, I don't know if I think it may have been Brady. I don't remember who hit it, but whoever hit that shot, chances are he's not going to hit a shot like that every single time. That was a 1 in 100 shot that he's going to have. So realistically, looking at their goals, aside from the third one, there wasn't a whole lot they could have done. And at that point, they're down to 10 men, which means their midfield, we've still got the 2 in there, but they're constantly coming at us because there's no outlet. We're pretty much kicking it down the field, and they're coming right back at us. And so it kind of makes sense that goals would come off of that. But looking at him individually, I think Rudiger really showed out today. I was impressed with him for most of the match. I mean, he got up and helped whenever Burnley were just packing it in. Whenever we finally did get possession of the ball, they were just trying pretty much just stay back, don't let them have any chances. He was getting up and helping out, and then he'd get back and defend well. He put himself in front of a few shots, very bravely, which is, John Terry-esque. That's something that I used to love watching John Terry do, just throw himself in front of shots. And for the most part, most of the Chelsea backline do that. But to see Rudiger come in for his first game and start doing that right away, it's good to see. But he has a good bit of pace. He has good height. I like seeing him. I like seeing what he can do, and he showed out today. I can't think of any of the goals and look back and say, oh yeah, he had a hand in that. Most of the time, he was in the right position. He was marking the right man. It was somebody else that lost track of somebody. So David Luiz kind of lost his head a little bit today, and it's not surprising from him. We've seen that before. But I do hate the fact that you needed somebody in the defense to sort of be a calming presence. Somebody that's going to be in there and say, hey guys, let's calm down, let's play our game. He wasn't that today. He was the flying out into challenges, coming in, trying to hit somebody while winning a header. Every single time he picks up the ball, instead of trying to play a good pass, he's looking to go long every time. And that's the David Luiz back before we sold him for $50 million. That's the one that I was like, I'm excited to get rid of him. So I hope he's not going back into that, especially in a game where we needed somebody when we're 10 men or when we're man down. We need somebody back there that's going to be more calm than he is, and he wasn't that today. So hopefully he can get back some of what we saw last season, that sort of calming presence, the guy who's very disciplined and just doing his job in the middle. But I will say, when it came to the end of the game, we needed somebody to get up and sort of move and create chances. He does that very well, and the goal that he got was it was brilliant play from Murata to flick it onto him, but the finish was very nice too. So he does have his bright moments. It's just the moments in the first half are the ones that I'm picking out. I'm just like, you got to be better. You can't be drawn into every challenge. You can't be drawn out of position. You got to make sure you're organizing back there. I didn't see any of that. And then obviously Cahill didn't play enough to really get a good review of him. But Christensen came in and did well. He's a player that I've been hoping will break into the first team sometime soon, and I think today was a good bid for him to say, hey, give me a chance. I thought he played well. He very calm on the ball, looking to move the ball well. Defensively, good positioning, well done to shut down a couple counterattacking chances that they had. So I was thoroughly impressed with both of our young defenders today back there. And that's exciting to say. We've got two young defenders that are showing that they are capable of being in this team. So it's Billy Cueto on the right, a little bit reserved, I'll say. Definitely not the same flying up and down the line that we've seen from Moses, and definitely not the same defensive, covering for everybody that we've seen from him. But that's to be expected. He played the entirety of last season in the back three. Moving to the right wing back, it may be more naturally his role, but I think he's just gotten so used to being that defensive player that we don't see much from him going forward. He's not the player that's going to get onto the ball and have a great cross in. He'll do it from time to time. The ball up to Murata that set up the second goal was brilliant. But I think I notice him more whenever he's being that defensive cover, whenever he's having to defend. That's where he really shows out. He's a much more defensive player than he is attacking. And so putting him out on the right wing back really sort of limits him because he's not going to be the player that's helping back anymore. Now he's getting up and down the line. So I just think that was more positioning. Maybe as he grows into it, he'll get better at it. But for now, I think he's not really there yet. So hopefully obviously with Moses coming back next week, probably not going to be there again. I assume he'll be back in the center with David Luiz and probably Rudiger. Marcus Alonso on the left side looks solid. Didn't see a whole lot from him, but I did see more than I saw last season. I didn't see the same mistakes he was making at the end of last season. I didn't see the getting up and then not getting back. He was working well both sides of the ball. So the effort is there, just the quality needs to come in a little bit more. He did probably create some of our best chances before Murata came on, so he was the one that sort of got our momentum going before Murata. So yeah, it was nice to see that he was contributing well. Conte, pretty much doing Conte stuff, just good challenges, putting a lot of pressure on people, winning the ball back whenever it looks dangerous for the other team. So yeah, he just still doing pretty much everything he can to keep them from having good chances. It's just whenever it's so much pressure, whenever they're just flying forward like they were in the first half, there's only so much he can do. But he did help us in the second half. There were so many times where it's like they're poking the ball away out of the box. Conte's there to win it back and keep our attack going. So he does so much for us in the midfield. I can't imagine not having him. Fabregas, for the most part, looked okay. Just a couple moments where the passes weren't coming off. But I think that's more because Batshuayi wasn't making the correct runs. I'm looking at the pass, I'm like, that's a pretty good pass. But Batshuayi is making the wrong run, or he's not making the run, or he's not putting a challenge in to make the ball good. So I think if you get a striker up there that's going to make the runs off of him, just somebody who's more intelligent at making runs, I don't know if Batshuayi is that player. He seems more of the, I'm going to play off of, or I'm going to play with the other players around me. I'm going to flick it on to somebody making a run in behind. He's not the player that's going to make the runs in behind or the player that's going to hold it up and lay it off. He's more of the one-touch, flick it off and turn and go. So today really didn't help him at all. The fact that he was up there alone, not really a whole lot of help, and it really did show. Just that there was a lack of quality we had up there. And like I said in the first half, we only had him and Willian up there. We didn't really have an outlet that's going to hold the ball for us and let our defense have a chance to rest. It would go up towards him, he wouldn't be in the right position, or if he was, he'd get it poked off of him, and so now they're back at us. And so I do kind of attribute it to the fact that we were a man down. I think that didn't help him, but at the same time, he's got to learn to move a bit more. He's got to make sure he's not just a stagnant figure. That lack of movement hurts us. When Williams making a great run inside, he's cutting in. Most of the time, somebody's making that run back across, and so now it's drawing a defender, and there's more space in the middle. But as it was, he would just stand right in the middle. And so Williams coming across, he's still standing. There's still defenders in there marking him. And that's just something he's got to get better at. He's got to move more. He can't just stand in the middle and say, hey, play it to me, because that's not going to work whenever you've got these big Premier League defenders on you that are probably doubling up on you too. So I don't know. I want him to succeed. I want him to do well, but this was not a good first showing for him, and it's unfortunate. Boga didn't have enough time to really see much of him, unfortunately. He looked lively, he was trying to get on the ball, trying to get involved. Just unfortunate that he had to be taken out so soon. Willian was trying everything he could, but at times that kind of hurt us. Just that the trying to do too much, the overcompensating for, I need to do something, I need to make something happen. A lot of times that leads to you dribble into pressure or you try to force a pass that isn't on, and it showed a lot. Those moments of, okay, we've got the ball, we're keeping possession well, ball goes to Willian, he slows it down, and now all of a sudden everybody from Burnley's back. And he tries to cut the guy inside, tries to make a run, there are 3 other players waiting for him, waiting to poke it off of him. I hate it for him because I see the effort, I see what he's trying to do, but we didn't need that today. We needed somebody who's going to move the ball around well, and I think, obviously we didn't have Pedro available today, but I think that's why Pedro worked so much better in our system than Willian. I think it's why he got so much time last season, because he's willing to play the quick 1-2, whereas Willian, he's not that type of player. He's a player that's more going to pick it up and run at the defense, try to cause problems that way. That's not what we needed today. We needed somebody who's going to play with everybody else and keep the ball moving, keep the defense working. As far as the subs are concerned, obviously, Christensen already talked about him. Murata's second one to come on, and like I said, came on and did well. Just changed up so much, made some great runs, made the defense work, and that did something. Even if it wasn't creating anything right away, he was still working so much. He was still just doing as much as he could, and that caused the defense to have to move, to have to work, and now they're tiring out. Whereas first half, Batshuayi's not moving at all, the defense isn't moving at all. And so they're still fine at the end of the first half. By the time Murata comes on, he's making them work. You could see the legs start to go. You could see them, they're having to work hard, and now they're done. And so now we're creating so many more chances because of it. So just by his work effort alone, he created so much for us. And then to get a goal on top of it, brilliant little run inside. Willian creates a nice little cross. Brilliant way to get us back into the match. And then on top of that, to get the header, the flick on to David Luiz. That alone was just wow. That was a brilliant goal. And he had a few more chances on top of that. The one Christensen played towards the back post may or may not have gone in. Slightly offsides from there, unfortunately. And there were a few more chances where he's offsides, but I prefer... He was offsides like 3 or 4 times. I prefer that over Batshuayi, who was never offsides because he wasn't really making those runs. So, yes, he's offsides, but at the same time, he's working. He's offsides for a reason. He's making that run in, trying to create something. And then the last one to come on, like I said, Musonda, came on a little too late to really be that involved. But he's a player that just comes on and works really hard, tries everything he can, just running, a lot of energy. So he does seem like a player to throw in late in the game to kind of, okay, the defense is dead, now let's throw in somebody else who's fresh and is a very, very fast player and hope that he can create something. But that's about it for all the individual performances. Looking ahead to next week, we've got to sign somebody. We've got to go sign somebody. Hopefully, obviously I've seen a lot of people are like, oh, look, Chelsea's struggling. Oh, they're bottling the title. Oh, that's terrible. They lost to Burnley. The fact of the matter is, it's not as bad as Mourinho's title defense. The main reason is, under Mourinho, we didn't see this fight back. The 3-0 down, we're 2 players down, and we're still fighting. We get the goal back. We go down another man. We get another goal back. It's like they wanted to fight, and there were 2 or 3 moments at the very end of the game where it was this close to being a goal. So that's something we never saw under Mourinho. We didn't see the we're down a goal, we're going to fight back. We're going to try. We're going to give it our all to try to get back in this game. Even under the adversity of a terrible referee who's calling everything against us, it doesn't matter. We're going to work hard. Who cares about the referee? Mourinho would have made it all about the referee. He would have, complained, yelled, probably got sent off today. Conte was just like, let's work hard, let's go, let's play. kind of subdued first half and most of the second half, and then after we went down another man and got those 2 goals back, it was like finally Conte's return. He's yelling at everybody. He's up and down the line trying to get them going. That's what I want to see, and I think that's something that, yes, a lot of people are going to look at this game and say, oh, look, they lost, they're done, this is it for their title defense. I think under Conte, he's going to make changes, he's going to force something to happen, whether it's, hey, buy somebody, or I'm walking. I don't think Abramovich would be dumb enough to say, okay, we don't need to buy anybody, we're good. I think he sees there's a problem, and I think hopefully he'll look at this and say, all right, we're going to go buy somebody, and we're going to buy whoever Conte wants to go get. But I do expect to see some signing come in sometime this week. There has to be. You can't look at this game and say, we don't need to buy anybody, because even though there was a great fight, even though it was a good fight back, and we did play well for the second half, you're still looking at the bench and saying, we don't have anybody. We don't have backups. We don't have, what are we going to do next week without Fabregas? We don't have another midfielder. Bakayoko's still injured. We've sold or loaned out all of our midfielders. Our next step is Kyle Scott. He's not that bad, but he's still a youth player. He's not going to be used to this type of play. So I just hope that they look at this situation and say, we need to go sign another midfielder. We need to go sign another wingback. We need to go sign somebody. We need to go get a big name in, get us excited about the season, provide some backup. Even without the injuries and suspensions, we're still going to need backup for the Champions League. But I do think there's a lot of hope to take from this game. I do look at it and say, overall, it's still a good performance. Honestly, the referee was the problem today. And it's not often that I say that. Most of the time I look at such and such and say, oh, well, we could have done better there. The third goal, that's probably the only one I can look at and say, our fault. We should have done better there. But, honestly, if we had a better referee today, if we had a referee that had a bit more of a calm head, wasn't throwing out cards within the first 5 minutes, it probably would have been a fine game for us. It probably would have been 0-0 at halftime, but then Murata would have come on second half, created some chances, we probably would have gone on to win it. So it's one of those things where this stuff happens. Let's move on. Let's go on to the next game. A lot of hope in our hearts. We end on a good note. 2 goals from a man down and then 2 men down. That's good. So that's about it for my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game today? What do you think? Who do you think we need to go buy to sort of cement our squad and give us some more backup and cover? Let me know. We can talk about it and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.